This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Overscreening Insider.
Welcome again to the Off the Break Podcast, your podcast dedicated to current movie theater news, operations, and insights from the people that book the movies. I'm here with the congested Cody.
Thanks, honey.
And the ever-present, excited, Friday, jazzed Kyle.
Yep, that's me every
Yep.
Friday.
Jazzed is how I would describe him today.
Yep.
It's not even spring. It's summer allergies. I hate grass. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you just stepped into the office and then suddenly it just hit you like a freight train.
I know. And it's tough. I'm blowing my nose. My eyes are watering. I'm like, maybe I'm allergic to work. Maybe it's just the work.
Then in that case, yeah, then I'm feeling sick too. Oh no.
Yeah.
You beat me
allergies.
to that joke. That's why I mentioned congested, because I was going to nail you with that halfway in. Dang it. I had that one loaded in the chamber, ready to fire.
Better luck next time.
And better luck next time. So we've got lots of news this week.
More news.
Pretty quiet week.
Yeah. We only have like one release schedule change, which is like kind of normal.
It's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Comeback Trail from
Cloudburst.
Cloudburst, yeah.
Yeah.
Is back on the schedule July 23rd.
Yeah, Kyle and I got a screener of this way back at the end of last year, because this was supposed to be a Christmas release or the week.
Like it was several
12/11
releases.
or 12/18 or something, but that was the one that they give us a screener for. This is the release date.
Oh yeah, we watched it in the
submitted dates.
office. You guys laughed out
It
loud.
was great.
Yeah,
it was a
really good.
really good film.
Yeah. So to see it back on the release schedule is nice to see, because I've been wondering like what is going to become of that movie.
This one's the one with De Niro, right?
De Niro?
De Niro, Robert De Niro, and
Super De Niro.
and he plays a movie producer, and they're trying to kill their star to cash in on the life insurance money.
Yeah,
but
played by
make
Tommy-
it look like an accident.
Played by Tommy Lee Jones. Morgan Freeman's in it as a
Yeah.
gangster. Zach Braff is in it as a naive
Like-
associate producer.
Yeah.
He's there like helping set up these scenes for murder.
Right, but he doesn't know what
he
he's
has no
doing.
idea.
Unbeknownst to him.
But then you can't kill Tommy Lee Jones. He's indestructible.
No.
That shit, frail maybe, but indestructible.
Yeah.
I would put this into the like category of like the get shorties, like the movie that don't really fit mainstream, but it was very well done. I was very surprised by how good it was.
Yeah, myself included.
I'm glad they have dated it now, because I'm dating July product. Like now
It's happening.
I'm looking at I've already dated everything up through July 9th. I'm looking at the 16th and the 23rd. So yeah, it could not, if they had made the decision to date this later, it may not have made it in.
No, we're fighting for every screen, we're fighting for every inch right now, because there is so much product.
It's tough because there's so much product. You want to make sure you get everybody in, and you just don't know how any of it's going to perform. Like you don't know if you're going to have to give things 3, 4, 5 weeks or more, or if you can make them last that long to fill a screen. I mean, at one hand, I almost have too much product and I'm getting, to get it all in. And on the other, if things don't perform, I won't have enough.
Yeah.
And that's just a weird, you're just hoping for the best here.
No, and then the allocating of screens. I mean, if you had a Fast and Furious movie pre-COVID, you were dedicating 30% or more of your screens in a complex to it.
On an opening weekend,
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
the whole
totally.
run.
No, but an opening weekend to open it, you were doing that.
Yeah.
And now, if you did that, you would have 2 empty auditoriums.
You could, yeah.
I mean, it would be, instead of having 100 people in one show at 9 o'clock, you'd have 33 in 3 different shows.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't, I mean, the per caps are so much different than they were before.
Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of people that don't realize theaters are open. There's still a lot of people hesitant. And I think overall people have been not socializing in public for so long that it's actually kind of anxiety ridden to get back into it. They're just struggling. They're struggling to get back into that socializing routine. And I think movies are going to be a great way for them to dip their toe into that, because they're going to go. They're not going to be so overrun with people. It's still pretty safe. They can wear a mask if they want. It's still, I think, the best kind of experiment. Whereas eating out and stuff might be a little overwhelming.
Oh yeah. I would say that restaurants are filled at 100% more so than movie theaters are right now, even though they're, restrictions are starting to loosen in some areas. But no, that's still the case for theaters. It's already been safe to begin with, but it's probably even more safer if there's still people out there being super cautious.
Yep. So as far as any booking strategies I have moving forward, it's just date what I can. Date it all. Get it in there now. And, and we'll take it week by week on holdovers to see how long things play and to see if I have holes. But I'm taking anything and everything now.
Looking at the film companies to work with us on being able to stack schedules and move things around. And that's how it's going to have to work.
Yeah.
With all this product, if you have a theater that normally grosses, 5 figures on an opening of a film, and that film drops to 4 figures. I mean, you're doing things that you never thought you'd ever do with moving things around.
Yeah, there's some of that's going to be an issue. But if something's performing, you're not going to stack it. So if a film opens and it performs, you're not stacking it, you're going to bump something off the schedule. If it opens and doesn't perform, there's an opportunity to stack it on something else and get something new in there.
If the film companies allow it.
Yeah, if they allow it.
They become stringent on these things, and
which they allow. I think they want to get back to being stringent because they still think that they're losing money. But I don't see, it just goes to the big conundrum we had pre-COVID is if I'm only getting 20, 30, 40% capacities in some of these auditoriums, I don't want to keep the film on screen. It's not worth it to me to keep it on screen. So you've now lost a date rather than having it on there. So we'll just, navigate that as we go. I think the biggest change I'm seeing as I'm planning forward now is all of the smaller, more independent distributors that had been there through COVID that supplied us with product to just have something on screen. They still have product and they still want to be on screen, and I have no screens for them. And that's been the big challenge. And
right. Yeah.
And it's really hard because do you take 2 screens or 3 screens of an F9 to open something from one of these distributors that had been there for you? But the problem is they don't market. They don't have national marketing budgets. They don't have the budget on the marketing spend. And so even though I might have a screen available, it's not worth it to bring in something that I then have to educate the audience on when I could have a second showtime of F9, which is, the awareness of it is so high.
Yeah.
So
or keep Quiet Place or Cruella through this and not have to advertise. If somebody sees Quiet Place on the marquee, they know exactly what that is.
Well, not only not advertise, but then you're not incurring more costs to ship hard drives for minimums, for bookings. I mean, there's definitely a cost there outside of the marketing cost to bring a film in, and it's pretty minimal, like overall. But if you don't at least have one sellout or a certain amount through the weekend, then that minimal cost becomes a burden, and we don't want that.
And your time is worth a lot more than that. Your time and effort is worth more than that minimum screen trying to make it work for one of these smaller films.
So there'll be, times and places for it, but I can't book this stuff like I used to be able to and give everybody a screen and do a favor. So that's been kind of, I think, a big challenge moving forward.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge that's still going to be kind of a wait and see type of approach. See if things get better so that way that becomes easier, or, just have to deal with what the new thing is now.
Well, I just got approached about a film on 6/18. It's day and date VOD. There's not going to be a national marketing campaign on it. It could only play for 1 week. It's got William Dafoe in it, so it's got a kind of a known actor, but it's going to have a minimum. And it's like, why bring it in right before I'm going to open up all my screens for F9 for 1 week? I don't think I'm going to be able to accommodate this film. And so now I'm looking to see where, because you want to play it at least 2 weeks because of the minimum, and I don't have a second week because of F9 coming in. So where am I going to put it? And can I accommodate it? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't really make sense to come off, Quiet Place or Cruella when I know for sure I'm coming off them to open F9, coming off them a week early to accommodate this film. I don't even know if it's worth it. So that's, the struggle that I'm going through right now is trying to find places where this might make sense.
Yeah, the IFCs, Neons, A24s of the world used to thrive in those shoulder seasons when we didn't have product.
Yeah.
But after last year, it feels like they're like, we're here too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all we played last year. That's all we had.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're back into a normal year, and Fast and Furious 10. And this is the 22nd Marvel movie or something like that. It's some crazy amount. And we have those to play. We're not looking for some avant-garde horror film.
And I would love to play an avant-garde horror film instead of playing something that was day-and-date VOD. And something from the big studios that's going to cost us a lot of money. But the reality is that the marketing dollars are not spent on that avant-garde horror film. And the awareness of it is so low that it becomes a burden on the theater at this point to create the infrastructure to market it themselves. And they're just not there yet. Independent theaters aren't there yet really to market product themselves. And that's something in the next year we have to really build on. We're going to have to build those marketing networks. We're going to have to build those practices. That has to be built into their operating budgets moving forward. They're going to have to start selling these movies. If the movie is what is on the screen that week, whether it be a gaming, a movie, a rent out, using your venue for other means, whatever it is, you're going to have to start selling that to people. And that's a huge radical departure from operating a theater 10, 20, 30 years ago. So I foresee that as our next biggest challenge is the marketing on it. And when we get that in place, then and it's a well-oiled machine, then I probably will be in the future able to bring in that avant-garde horror film because the process and the mechanics are there to market it, and I know I'll get the people for it. Right now, I'm relying so much on the studio to do that part and if they don't, then it doesn't work. And that's the big change right now. So I want to tell like A24s and Neons and the little guys, hold in there. We're working to change the processes so that we can accommodate you moving forward. And then it'll be a whole different landscape. But right now we're still kind of stuck in that pre-pandemic model where the studio pays for the marketing and the studio markets it and the theater plays it. And that's going to go away, but that's just where we're at right now.
Yeah, I agree.
And we've
you guys nailed it.
And we've seen the numbers go down from the major studios too for the amount of marketing budgets and things like that. We're not seeing it the way they are.
They don't have marketing budgets barely anymore. Yeah. I mean, they're looking for target marketing, they're looking for digital marketing, and it's got theater owners worried because they're not seeing ads, and they may not be seeing ads because they're not targeted to see those ads, and that's tough because you can't tell who's seeing those ads anymore. And who you're getting and where they're going. And if a studio's marketing budget is cut and they're only looking at the top 25 markets, chances are that they're not actually, marketing in your market. And so people probably aren't seeing the ads except for on streaming services. And they're probably seeing more of the streaming side of those ads.
Since they're trying to hype them up so much lately. Mm-hmm. That's probably accurate.
So sooner rather than later, we're going to have to get smaller independent exhibitors into that marketing machine and educated on what it means to target your audience, find your new customers, and get your campaigns out to them and get them back into the theater. But it'll be not only just for movies, it'll be for a lot of other things, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
So how are we going to do that? Hopefully we'll get some SVOG money. Right, guys?
Yeah.
One can hope.
One can hope. Remember that was a thing? Shuttered Venues Operators Grant? I feel like I've imagined it at this point. Like,
no, it's very real.
Didn't people apply for this? Is this a real thing? Wasn't the government going to give us money?
Yeah, and the government came through. We have a number. We have some money moving out to affected venue operators. looks like 64% of the people that applied have gotten money. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
It's 0.64%.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. So there was a recent New York Times article, because we have not gotten any updates from SVOG.
Now we know why.
And NATO is doing an every other week conference call, so they didn't have any updates this last week for us. But I did see a New York Times article that said that they've awarded 90 grants and there was 14,000 applications.
Oh.
Yeah. That's not even 1%.
No,
I
that's...
mean,
0.64
Yeah.
is lower than I would have expected.
Gosh, it's so bad. And then they
Just a bit.
the article said that they have been running into an issue where apparently if an EIN number matched a deceased person's social security number, they considered you deceased. And so legitimate companies were being excluded, like their applications were being denied because they were deceased. And then how do you fix that? Like,
They're pronouncing people dead now?
yeah.
That was a part of the deal.
And there was like no way to really fix that because
No.
the IRS shows you fine because your social is fine, and your EIN number is fine, but for some reason through this grant, through the SBA, they were saying you were dead. So
There's a conspiracy somewhere in there.
oh my gosh. So anyways, they're gonna move the application process and going through them from SBA to a subcommittee of SBA that was handling all the PPP. Because now that PPP is pretty much done, they have time and energy, and they'll tackle this, and they'll be a lot more efficient because PPP went out pretty well. Like,
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of hang-ups. You got your money when you applied. So hopefully this means now that people will be getting paid, but it's so bad.
I never thought that this worst case scenario for this thing would be that people are pronounced dead.
That crossed a couple
Yeah.
of bridges from where money was not distributed properly or appropriately. It's like, no, we actually pronounced people dead during this process.
How long do you think it took them before they're like, 90 people? And how many of the 14,000 are dead?
No,
Hold on, what's
Oh,
going on
and then of
here?
course they went to Congress and they were like, "We're doing a great job. We're doing the best we can." And I'm like, "No, you guys are pathetic. You are failing at this miserably. It's laughable. You should be so embarrassed by
yeah.
this. People should be fired. This should be a fireable offense because you have been so inept at your job, the one thing you were really supposed to do, and you can't get it done.
Preach.
Get them fired."
You're not wrong. Like, there's a reason why even in the New York Times, this article was kind of hidden, I feel like.
Yeah. Can we bring Donald Trump back just to fire people on TV? Like, and then all the money from the ad sales of this would go back to the theaters.
I wonder how many people...
SVOG, so we could give people more money.
How many people are listening going, woo!
Firing. I mean, it's kind of sad. They're low-level government officials, but
No.
you did a bad job.
No,
you
they
need to be
didn't.
fired
We could do it
publicly.
live and stream it into theaters.
Yeah.
You could just show up at their house.
The theater event you
like
can't miss.
You fired.
You're fired. Just come in front of him and exit.
Yeah.
Fired.
Yeah. Or we could actually do it like public executions. We could actually walk these people into theaters and then have them do it in person.
Yeah.
In front of people.
You're fired.
I would pay for that. I'd pay to see that.
Oh, I would too in a heartbeat. No, this is just depressing, and I feel so bad for a whole lot of people that applied for this thing because
And
they
they're-
need help now.
And
And
need
it's-
it
yeah.
desperately.
Yes, and instead they're just screwing it up so much more than I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
Despite how much we kind of made fun of them at the same time. Like, this is...
I know, but you
This
kind
is
of hope
bad.
that on a certain level, it shouldn't be this difficult. You were given a grant for a certain type of business, a movie theater, a live venue, etc. If one of those businesses applies for this grant and can prove a loss, how hard is it to be like, okay, application accepted. Like, why is this process so difficult? Like, I can't fathom it.
Yeah, and...
From a
Yeah.
from a part of the government that is used to taking loan applications. It's not like SBA doesn't do loans and hasn't forever. I mean, the processes are in place to review an application and say yes or no, approve or decline, and then give them money. I just basically at the simplest process, should be SBA's MO. And somehow it's like, we throw in movie theaters and live venues and they're like, what are these? I can't figure this out. What?
Yeah, those are all different and strange, but all restaurants are operated exactly the same.
Yeah.
All businesses, when it comes to PPP, exactly the same.
Right.
Carpet cleaning, Fortune 500 company, landscaping
You name it.
service, dog groomers, all the same. Give them the money.
Movie theaters, that's a head scratcher.
Movie theaters and Broadway, what do we do with this?
Poor art departments everywhere are like, welcome to my life.
Yeah.
I know what they can do with Broadway.
Hamilton, one more time.
So I guess on the positive side, 90 people have received money. So money is going out.
If you're one of the 90 people,
Congratulations.
Great job for getting through the system.
Tell me who you paid to get the money. Like, what wheels did you grease? Because we need to know.
Yeah.
And are you pronounced dead anyway, but you still got the money?
Yeah.
Send us your social security number and we'll just put it on everyone else's application because obviously it worked.
It's the winning number.
We'll pay you 5% of whatever we get.
The winning
Right.
lottery number. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah.
What are the odds that these people have social security number like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7?
Yeah.
They filled it in like 00001.
Let's see if this works.
That's the one that made
worked.
it through.
If that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's
Definitely.
what I did. I got my little piece of paradise.
Oh, well, apparently a theater chain that doesn't need the money as bad as everybody else was AMC, because they've been quoted recently in another article as saying that they are ready and looking to expand their footprint in the U.S. market.
Wow.
What?
Weren't you
What?
bankrupt like last week?
They're still probably bankrupt. They got so lucky with a stock rally from the Reddit bettors out there that
That's true.
We had
that was like a lifeline for them. And now they're like, let's not pay down our massive $5 billion debt. Let's go buy some more theaters. Let's go add to it.
We're gonna be in debt anyway.
Yeah.
Might as well be gun ho about it.
yeah.
Well, guys, the debt, some of it's not due for like 3 to 4 years. So we could just kick this can of debt down the way, and the whole industry will be back by then.
We had this conversation December of 2019 that AMC was going to declare bankruptcy within 18 months.
Yeah.
Like we had this, and we're right at 18 months.
And they're like,
And they're like, let's buy more theaters.
Technically,
yeah, I feel like they're like that guy at Vegas at the craps table. It's like, just one more roll.
Yeah.
We'll be good. This'll be it. Blow into these dice.
Come on, Lucky Sevens.
Yeah.
No, they are the guy that's in a hole with a shovel, and he's like, well, I'll just keep digging. Eventually I'll get out.
Yeah.
Like, just keep going.
There's treasure down there somewhere.
Right. No, the article, that part is just, you just shake your head at AMC, but whatever. But the article is interesting because they did have Wall Street analysts on there saying the industry is viable. This is viable. The problem is you're overscreened, and you've probably been overscreened for a while. They say there's something like 40,000 screens in the U.S., not locations, screens.
Yeah.
And that a more healthy number, a more realistic number should be like 30, maybe 35. So that's, we're overscreened in the country. I think we were kind of getting by a little bit because of changing out the seating to luxury seating. So even though you had so much screening, the seat numbers were going down that were supporting those screens. So that was like a little bit of a Band-Aid on the situation. But I think the reality is you're going to see consolidation in the marketplace in the next few years. We have too many screens and too many seats for the amount of moviegoers we should expect moving forward, and which will go down because of streaming. So you got to plan for that. I would like to see the same number of locations. I don't want to see little guys get hurt and have that screen count get shrunk by locations closing. I get if the big chains want to close underperforming locations, but I like not to see the independents suffer and close and be slaughtered just to try to get that screen count down. I think that the number of locations is probably okay. It's just the number of screens are too much. And what I'm hoping to see is as we go forward and we have less product, that you won't see these 15 and 20 and 30 screen megaplexes anymore, that they will convert those extra screens to different retail. They'll use the theater as an anchor and create more of a commercial zone around the theater, but that they will convert those unused screens. And that's where we'll see the decrease in screen count is, 15s going down to 10s or 20s going down to 10s. I mean, that if we could do that reduction across the board that way, that would be, ideal.
Yeah, best
for
case
me.
scenario.
But I think what it showed was that we have a viable industry. Wall Street believes that there's a viable industry. They quoted in the article as saying it's a cheap form of entertainment, relatively cheap compared to other forms of entertainment, and it still gets people out. So there's some viability there. It's just that right now there's just too many screen options and not enough product to fill them. So we need to refigure that out a little bit. And I just hope that we don't consolidate the independents to achieve that goal.
Yeah, but if AMC is throwing money around, this podcast sponsorship is currently for sale.
Yeah.
we know how you guys spend your money.
Yeah.
So we'd be glad to take 30% of what you normally offer.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love that idea. Why not?
Brought to you by AMC.
Yeah, so somehow their bankruptcy was kind of a gateway to us learning that, hey, the industry's still viable, but you just have to make some adjustments.
Yeah.
Because there's not much product out thanks to streaming, and maybe less screens won't be so bad.
No, I think less screens, luxury seatings, because in reality, you don't need 100, 150 seats in an auditorium. You're not selling out. That many people are not coming to that auditorium outside maybe opening night. But throughout your run, your occupancy rate is never 100% on all your showtimes. So you don't need all those seats. You only need them for the opening. And so I think if you could put luxury in, lower your seat count, and then if you're overscreened, if you're over 12 screens, and you're finding that you're just not you're having one or two people at shows and you're having to play multiples, really rethink what could you do with those other screens. Those are venue auditorium rooms. What can you do with them? And get creative. Maybe they become, I don't know, like a laser tag room, or maybe they become something else, or maybe they become your gaming room where you rent out to gamers to stream gaming. I think there's a lot of possibilities you can put in there, and that now is a good time when we finally do get SVOG money to maybe look at reconfiguring what those extra auditoriums are, because at the same time that this is all happening, we have a lot of first generation digital equipment that's coming up and needs to be replaced. I mean, 2012 was the big digital conversion year, and we're in 2021. And in 6 months, it'll be 2022, and that's 10 years. And that's pretty much the lifespan of that first generation equipment. So you're looking at a $50,000 projector cost next year, or $30,000. How much would it be just to maybe not do that auditorium and make it another projector? How much would it be to retrofit into something else? Or
even just save some money.
Yeah. So, I mean, you might see some de facto screen eliminations just purely on the fact that the projectors are going to start dying off here soon. The first generation projectors.
I wonder if theaters do start making that switch and start doing less screens. I wonder how that comes into play for how studios make movies these days. Movies are especially from the big studios, they're making movies so that way those theaters are being sold out. So that way all of those seats are filled. But between, screens starting to possibly starting to lower down, and, so much time is being split between theaters and streaming, maybe studios will have to rethink their strategy on not overblowing budgets for big blockbusters and have to scale back, the types of movies that they make. Like, still blockbusters, but not to where they're like costing you $100 million.
Well, I think that's already going to happen. I think they look at a $200 million film budget and they're like, how many other pieces of content could we have made if we had scaled this back to say $100 million? And then we have $100 million we could make a whole season or multiple seasons of something for the streaming platform. So I think the days of those massive, huge budgets are going to go by the wayside because they are in the business of content creation and they need the money for more content.
Yep.
So I think that that's going to be an issue, but overall how they might address the theaters, I hope that by eliminating some screens, we're just getting to we're hitting our most efficient point. And that because the box office is dominated, 85% of the money is made in the top circuits, AMC, Regal, Cinemark, and maybe even the next two. So all the independents only do something like 15% of the box office. So if there's some consolidation, I don't think that they're ever going to change up how they approach the theatrical market because they really are just relying on those top three chains, and those chains are going to exist and have locations. And I think that knowing that, just the independent exhibitor needs to rethink how they approach the studios. Are they going to rely on the studios moving forward? Are these screens going to be filled with films moving forward, or are they going to be used for something else? I mean, we have a couple small single screen little guy theaters, historic theaters, and they do other things. They do live productions. They do weddings. We have one that's a wedding venue, and she'll make a couple $1,000s on a weekend on a wedding where she might only make a couple $100 showing a movie. And so
that's a good call. You can make bank on weddings.
Yeah. I mean, you start thinking outside the box what you could do with your venue, especially if you have like a historic old theater that is just beautifully maintained and you just want to keep it for the historic sake in the community. Start looking at those alternatives.
Yeah. No, if you have a stage for live events, if you have a venue for photographers or for, like you said, weddings or wedding shows where they have. I mean, there's
video games.
It's such a large amount of space that you have, and it can easily be utilized for something more than the films.
Yep.
But we have films this week.
Yes. I don't want to discourage anybody. We have movies, and they are going wide, and some of them are going theatrical exclusive. Like Hotel Transylvania coming up in July will be theater exclusive, and they're going very wide. They're going to take whoever they can on it, and it's going to be great. And it's going to be a good summer kids programming, and definitely an anchor in our schedule. So we're keeping all that in mind. We're just looking at kind of what this meant with this article, saying that the domestic market was overscreened and what those possibilities could mean.
Yeah. No, we are very excited to have 2 theatrical wide releases in the next 7 days with Peter Rabbit and Hitman's Wife's Neighbor's Gardener's Bodyguard.
Yeah.
And then the one that's getting the best review so far is In the Heights, which is day and date with HBO Max today.
Right.
Kyle saw that last night.
Yeah.
In the theater.
In a theater.
As one should.
In the Heights, in the theater. What'd you think?
I'll start with the short version of my review. A big buff man at the end of the movie sitting next to me got up and started an applause. And if your movie can do that, you got a great movie. But this movie was great. It was just nice to have, instead of, like a scary theater experience, which was still fun, it's a more lively theater experience. It's one where it's filled with joy, levity, where it touches on themes like family and following your dreams, and it touches on culture, the type of culture that's within the Washington Heights where the movie is centered in. And the music's catchy, the choreography, the cinematography is all fantastic, and the people in the audiences, they're gonna get caught up in the emotions because the characters work so well, the music's beautiful to listen to, and it just works so well all around. And it's nice to have this feeling of walking out of a theater being like, I'm happy I went to see that. So I can't praise it enough. Like, this movie was really excellent and a lot of fun.
Can Lin-Manuel Miranda do Ron musically? Like,
I don't think he can.
I mean, is he capable of having a dud at this point? Like, oh, that just didn't work.
I mean, this, Hamilton, Moana, the dude kills it. And we really do need more guys like him when it comes to movie making, because, or even just, you know, Broadway in general, even Broadway movies, what have you. But we just need more of this type of entertainment, where you can just walk in. Maybe it's something that you don't quite know of or you're not familiar with, but the story is just so engaging. The characters are just rich and great to follow along with, where, you know, you're entertained from start to finish. You have you follow the highs that the characters are having, the lows that the characters are having. And, you know, it's one of those movies where I wish we could have a lot more of it, because the experiences and the emotions that carry you with you are just so great, especially in a theater setting.
But it was not as good as Peter Rabbit 2 or Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, because it went day to day with HBO Max.
I implore people, please go see this in a theater. Like,
I would think with the music you would want to have the theater sound system. You wouldn't want to try to watch this on a small screen.
I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that are like, my sound system's still pretty good, and it could be impressive, but it's...
Gosh.
Kyle's
Could you
giving
imagine in an Atmos screen where you've got that, was it 30 speaker system or 35 speaker system,
something like that,
where it pinpoints the exact point in the auditorium where a pin could drop, and you would hear it, and I mean, you just can't beat that. No home theater system is going to even compare to a Dolby Atmos system. So
yeah, for sure. But
get off your high horse.
No, I'm sure I would have loved the movie regardless, but, you know, I was just surrounded by people who I could tell were just caught up in the story as much as I would. I mean, you know, the big gym rat guy, you know, applauded at the end. Some high schoolers behind me were all crying and sniffling during, like, the second half of the movie. And even when it was, like, happy moments after there was sad moments, they still were crying. So, you know, and it's that's the fun part. Like, as long as no one's being a jerk and being on their phone or something, like, if you guys can find a great movie like that and be all entertained together, it's great.
Well, you know what's interesting? Ken and I were in the bank the other day, and we go out, and it's been a long time since I heard people talking about movies. That's a whole separate conversation about where movies fall in the cultural dynamic.
Yeah.
But we were at the bank, and we could hear these old people talking about In the Heights. And I was not thinking that was going to be their kind of movie.
Sure, yeah.
It definitely, to me, it looks like it plays younger audience, but they were like, oh, it was filmed near our area, and we got to watch him, and it's full of singing and dancing. It's got Lin-Manuel Miranda making the music, and they went on, and they were selling the hell out of that movie to these people they were talking to.
I think there will be a lot of people that are selling it too. Like, there's no way you can dislike this movie, unless if you're not a fan of musicals, then whatever. But even for me, who's pretty hit and miss on musicals, like, this one was just really good.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Well, it was very encouraging to hear talk of a movie, you know, outside our workplace, like out in the real world.
Yeah.
And enthusiastic, not where it was like, oh, that's a turd and I can't believe I spent money on it. No, this was like, go see it. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
And that was so positive. I haven't heard talk like that in so long. That was nice.
That's, you know, that gives me a sigh of relief.
Yeah, it's been a hot second since we heard any conversations about movies. And I think I've heard like 3 this week in passing. It's wild that we have this. They were all about In the Heights too, which is crazy for me to think that that's the one.
Well, we'll have a conversation next week, because when we were looking at the booking strategies and Warner's had Conjuring and In the Heights, I knew Conjuring was going to do well, but I was worried about In the Heights. And so, but I was like, it's PG-13. I got to take it. And if I had, you know, I can't double track Warner's. So there was you either get Conjuring or you get In the Heights. And I talked a lot of people into In the Heights. A couple of people went with Conjuring, but most people went with In the Heights. So I'm really hoping my bet pays off, because it was a tough choice.
Don't underestimate the power of Lin-Manuel. Yeah. I've learned that the hard way. And I paid the price for it. Because I didn't see Hamilton yet until it came out on streaming. But so many of my friends were praising it and were loving the music. And, you know, I liked what I heard in Moana with his music, but even still, I was like, I don't get what the big deal is. But after watching Hamilton, I was like, I get it now. Like the dude's really good. He's really talented.
Kyle must be excited. He said the word dude like 9 times. Dude. You actually sound like a Kyle today.
Oh my gosh.
Where's my Mountain Dew right now?
I've got one right
Monster
here.
energy drink, bro.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll share that after seeing how sick you are, but thanks anyway.
It's allergies, Kyle.
We got to be careful.
Remember back when everybody that had allergies thought we had COVID?
Right.
Last year, that was crazy.
I went through it was a scary phase. Okay. Luckily, I was popping the Allegra D and I was fine.
The only way to get over COVID.
Allegra D.
Yeah.
That and a white wine. Cody tried that every day for 3 months.
I did. I was like, I will kill all the germs in my body with wine because it's alcohol, right? The alcohol
It burns.
disinfects.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I'm not going to put bleach in my veins like some people were suggesting, but I was definitely trying to drown everything in alcohol. That's for sure.
Well,
I mean,
speaking of,
I'm not doing that anymore.
She's better now.
I'm better now. Now I'm just on the Allegra D.
We're happy for you, Cody.
Thank you.
Glad you fixed your problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
she snorts it. She has a problem.
You're terrible.
Okay.
They're gonna
Speaking
say
of-
I really
speaking
do
of
have a
terrible-
problem.
Yeah.
Speaking of terrible, we got a
'Kay.
Space Jam 2 trailer this week.
Oh, you don't like it?
Well,
Neither
it's
do I.
LeBron James is hurting this movie, which I didn't think was possible because I thought
Really?
he had his built-in audience. He's become more divisive than normal.
He has.
He's
Actually, that's
changed-
been kind of scary. Like, we're relying on this to bring in families, but
Oh, yeah.
a lot of people I've been talking to are like, I don't want to see it because of him. And I'm like, what? It's Space Jam.
Like last week, I was saying, who knew that they hate him so much that they can't stand to see him stand next to Bugs Bunny?
Yeah, like you can't get over
Like, what
that.
are you talking about?
Yeah, no, he officially changed his number from 23 this week to number 6, which is the same number he wears in Space Jam.
Yeah.
So he's going to play with the number 6 moving forward again.
I wonder if it would have been just easier to digitally change 6 to 23 in Space Jam and keep your number. Like, why?
It's-
I who knows why
whole thing.
decisions are made. The trailer's fine. The trailer's not bad.
I mean, you can't really change too much on what this is like the second version trailer to come out. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess as someone who loved the first Space Jam so much, granted it's not a great movie, but it's
What are you talking about? It's great.
You're right. It's perfect. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Space Jam.
It just feels cringy when the sequel is trying to outdo what the first one did. And granted, like the first one was trying to make like a buck, obviously, but you could tell like it was a rough go to make that movie. But that's the charm of it too. But I guess with this sequel, it just seems so
Forced,
forced,
commercial.
artificial, which is dumb to say. Like, of course, like that's the point of it all,
I mean,
right?
they
But-
literally replaced the bad guy with Don Cheadle, which was the
Sure.
same thing they did in Iron Man 2. Like,
we're on to you, Cheadle.
yeah,
Yeah,
this will work.
I'm sure it'll be a good movie. I'm sure maybe some kids will like it, but the trailer, maybe I'm just older now and bitter.
What did you guys think of the new Free Guy trailer? Because it emphasized that Guy is a nice guy.
A superhero kind of like good guy.
Like a super nice guy.
Yeah.
We know how
I
to
kinda
market
thought
Black
that was-
Widow. Let's market the same way with Free Guy.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of lame.
It's got enough
I
Ryan
re-
Reynolds-y stuff in it
Yeah.
that it'll be okay, but he needs to have an edge. He can't just be soft.
No, they made him soft in this trailer. I think I found that off-putting.
Yeah.
Too nice.
Too soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first, what was it, 1 or 2 trailers,
Yeah.
they did a really good job
It
of
was
being
great.
like, it's kind of like Fortnite with Ryan Reynolds, who's like PG-13 edgy, but it's about a character that's,
Yeah.
trying to break out of his shell and, just be on his own and learn about the meaning
Yeah.
of, I don't know, life and friendship and stuff like that. But
Save his world.
yeah, but instead of it being like with the PG-13 edge, it seems like they really are playing more into the Heart of Gold
They gotta find a way
character
to-
motivating
Yeah.
type stuff, which I think for this type of movie, you still need to show that
I
it will
felt
have
like
an edge.
this last
I'm
trailer.
having a day afternoon with my best friend.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I felt like this trailer was definitely like, this is how Disney would market the film.
Exactly.
And it didn't feel edgy or fun. It didn't feel like the Fox film that we got originally.
Yep.
This was like, okay, now Disney's in control. And then
Yep.
we're going to scrub off some of the hard edges and we're going to shine her up a little bit. And we're just going to play up how nice he is.
Okay.
Yep.
Ugh.
Disney screwed up this trailer, but
Yeah.
they nailed the other one they released this week.
Yes. Okay. In
True.
context where you want it, they did Ron's Gone Ron. It's an animated title coming out when?
October?
October. Yeah.
I'll double check
It looks
that, though.
super cute. It's about a kid who gets a like personalized little robot companion, but there's something wrong with his. Like it's like obviously a defective one that somehow got through, and this kid is the only kid with the defective one. But you find true friendship in the defects of others.
That's pretty much the movie.
Yeah.
October 22nd, by the way.
But it looked cute. There was some funny scenes, and we watched it with our boys, and they laughed at it. I mean, they were like half crawling on Kyle to watch it through his computer screen, but
That was adorable.
It's the perfect PG movie. We need it.
yeah,
We needed it in May.
right.
Like, hey, I'll keep saying this, beating my drum. We're already past it, but if we can rewind and put any one of these fully animated PG films in May,
It would have been great, but move on, Ken.
I can't.
Move on. That's part of our industry. We move on to the next
I'm
week.
trying.
On to the plus side, though, it does
Yeah.
seem like it's theater exclusive.
Well, we don't know for sure yet.
I'm just, for now,
Disney
Theater
Kyle's
has
throwing it out there.
Disney hasn't said what they're
He's
doing
putting it out in the
with
universe.
let's just see what
exclusivity
happens.
after Jungle Cruise. We don't know on any title after that.
Fair enough. But for now, I think we could at least be like, okay,
Yeah.
that seems
Just
nice.
put it out there. float the idea.
It's not
Well-
a declaration, just
So all we know
It's
is that
there.
it should go to theaters right now. It's not going to be exclusive Disney Plus like Luca.
jeez, don't remind me. That's coming out. I completely forgot about that movie until you mentioned that. Because you know
Luca.
why? Because it's going to streaming.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I mean, I care a little, but even still,
Yeah.
even still, it hurts that I was not anticipating a Pixar movie at all.
Right.
if Lin-Manuel did anything to do with Luca, Kyle's going to watch it. He's going to break down.
Imagine how many dudes I'm gonna throw out after watching a Pixar movie.
Get Disney
Yeah.
Plus. He's going to invite that bro over to his house to watch it. So they can high five during it.
Bro, come on, dude. Let's watch Luca.
That was totally Miranda right there. Nailed it.
Oh God, you do sound like my friends.
Will we have anything else this week?
No, wraps up the week for us.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Happy Friday. Big grosses, everybody.
Yep. I hope everybody goes out and sees Peter Rabbit this week. It had wonderful success in England and Australia, so I expect even better success here because we've been without a really good theater exclusive kids movie in a while. So
Yeah. This is gonna be a good weekend.
yep.
All right, so thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. You can find us on all podcast platforms and over at silverscreeninsider.com, where if you're a theater owner or manager needing updated and accurate film information and marketing materials to promote those movies, check out our website there and see all the available materials that we have.
All right. Lucky Rabbit's Foot this weekend, everybody. Let's sell some popcorn.
Have a good weekend. Bye.